Hello there, this is Meow, then a love interest, and today we are talking about the Cat of Nine Tails, Catwoman herself, as she's been represented over the years. In this episode, let's unsheath our claws with the Countess of Criminality and chat about how she gets handled with kid gloves here. We'll get into her role in this show, her relationship with Batman, and what all this means for the hip cats in the audience. Let's get started.
Looks like the hunt's on again, Isis.
The Princess of Plunder is always defined by her fur-raising felonies. So let's start with the nefarious schemes our Marchioness of Misdemeanors is up to in Batman the Animated Series.
Don't worry. You won't see Selina Kyle anywhere near Daggett Labs.
Unlike its precursor, this show rarely has any two-part episodes. In most, the villain has a scheme, and the Caped Crusader discovers it and thwarts it in 20 minutes. That is certainly not a criticism. Many of the episodes explore quite creative methods for both villains to commit crimes and for the story itself to be told.
Get out of my face.
The fact of the matter is we each have an almost gotten Batman story.
Catwoman appears in 6 episodes in the first season and 2 in the second season. Most of the same team reprise their roles for the new Batman adventures a couple years later, so I will be including those 2 episodes here, as Adrienne Barbeau voices this Catwoman as well, and the stories seem to be in the same continuity.
About time you got here.
As with her more prolific predecessor, let us not get bogged down by what all of these episodes are about, but rather let's explore what they tell us about Catwoman across the series.
That's not my style. No finesse.
First, our Catwoman has a name in this show, Selina Kyle, as this was made after the popularity of Batman Returns, which is also why she is blonde for most of the show, where previous iterations were brunette. Unlike Michelle Pfeiffer's version, this Selina is a wealthy socialite who moves in the same circles as Bruce Wayne.
$10,000.
That begs the question of why, then, is she a cat burglar? If money isn't an issue for her. Well, the answer to that is simply that she's not much of one. At least, not on screen. If you look at her introduction.
Perfect, my love. Let's go home.
And her final scene.
I guess virtue is its own reward.
You might assume that this is her primary motivation in the show, but between these 2 scenes, she doesn't really do any burglary, even in the rest of these individual episodes.
Like membership oaths and fees and all that?
And the only other example of cat burglary is in this episode when another villain tricks her into it.
But isn't it cruel to take advantage of that nice Miss Kyle?
This does not mean, however, that she has nothing to do in the intervening episodes. In most of her appearances, Catwoman does a bit of breaking and entering, but this does not usually include theft. Rather, she is investigating the actions of worse villains. Selina dons her Catwoman persona to sneak into the offices and labs of terrorist groups and corrupt corporations, frequently teaming up with the Bat Fam to do so. Her only ulterior motives are occasionally to get some loot along the way, but never to actively thwart our heroes.
I thought maybe you'd like to work together.
If you're lying to me and I find out, you'll give yourself up.
My point being that Catwoman does not really attempt anything particularly villainous in this show. Now, there is an in-universe explanation for that.
I gave him my best fight, but in the end, kitty got her claws clipped.
Demonstrating a surprising level of continuity for an episodic show, though it unfortunately aired out of order. After her first appearance, she is arrested for her cat burgling, but given parole for assisting Batman in saving Gotham.
Since you did help save Gotham City from annihilation, I have decided to sentence you to 5 years probation.
So being on parole for half of her episodes obviously curtails her potential Catwoman antics. While on probation, she appears in this episode where Bruce Wayne is trapped in a dream in which he never became Batman, and he's engaged to Selina Kyle, who has never heard of Catwoman, interestingly.
Catwoman? Bruce, you're beginning to worry me.
After that, back in real life, she's on probation, and that leads to problems when she uncovers Daggett's plot with stray animals.
May I point out that this arrest could revoke your probation?
A few episodes later, she's just hanging out at a zoo and is kidnapped into another villain's plot. We'll get more into that whole thing later.
Selina, do you know me?
Batman?
Next, she's barely in this episode and only there to help Batman stop the Joker. Presumably, that didn't violate her parole. It is not until the second season that she says she hates being on the straight and narrow and wishes to be Catwoman again.
I'd be a good little pet and walk on a leash. Even if it killed me.
Nice touch with her wearing a collar here. After her antics, Batman intends to arrest her, but she manages to escape him.
Will you take me in or let it become extinct again? The lady or the tiger, darling?
Unsurprisingly, that means Catwoman is on the prowl for her next 3 appearances, although that doesn't mean she has her own schemes. She teams up with Batgirl, then Nightwing, then Batman, so most of her actions are at least as legal as the Bat Fams are.
We lost Catwoman and Batgirl on the Bayshore Expressway.
What the heck is she up to?
These episodes have a structure in common where she convinces them she is trustworthy at several points, though of course having an ulterior motive of wanting some loot. We'll talk more in the next section about how these relationships reveal our character, but relevantly here is that these are the only real schemes Catwoman has in the show.
Aw, it's nice to be right.
At no point are her plots explicitly against the Bat Fam. She never needs to be foiled, and often her goals mostly align with theirs. That rather clips her claws as a villain, in my opinion. Even if she does manage to get one over on our heroes, it's never because she has teamed up with the main villain they've been investigating, and Catwoman always is helpful in their efforts to arrest the real bad guys.
Going somewhere, Daggett?
In fact, she spends far more time as Selina than as Catwoman in this show, and in all 10 episodes, she gets caught up unwillingly in another villain's plan. Catwoman stumbles across this terrorist group in 2 episodes because of a land deal Selina was brokering for a wildlife preserve.
I'm afraid that Selina Kyle may be trouble.
Have someone keep an eye on Ms. Kyle.
She's technically a figment of his imagination here, but this is happening because of another villain's plot.
No one's will is strong enough to escape my dream machine!
Selina loses her cat and finds out Daggett's plan with other strays.
What have you done to these animals?
Nothing compared to what we're gonna do to you!
Selina goes to the zoo and is kidnapped to be turned into a more literal Catwoman.
I've made her what she always wanted to be.
Catwoman comes out to help Batman and gets captured by Joker and Harley Quinn. Selina finally has some agency when she decides to engage in crime with the ventriloquist, but he is setting her up the whole time.
Excuse me, Mr. Scarface, But isn't it cruel to take advantage of that nice Miss Kyle?
Similarly, Daggett is framing her for his crimes in the next one.
Because it's exactly what you would have taken.
In this episode, we finally have an example of where she's using this smuggler to bring her loot into the country instead of being used by him, so that is nice.
I knew about Enrique's smuggling operation.
So you slipped it into one of his shipments.
And finally, a theft that happens off screen gets her in the crosshairs of this cat cult.
No one's ever chased me as long as you did. Normally, I like men who don't know when to quit.
And do you know what the result of all of these situations are? Batman has to rescue her from these terrorists.
You've got to get out of here.
He has to escape this dream state so she can return to normal.
Selina, does the name Catwoman ring a bell?
He has to get the cure from Daggett so she doesn't die. He has to rescue her from this experimentation.
You're hurt.
It's nothing.
He has to save her from Harley Quinn.
So say ciao to your girlfriend. Cat chow, that is.
And then he has to help her with this situation with the ventriloquist she got herself into. Batgirl, Robin, and later Nightwing each take a turn, rescuing Catwoman.
You alright?
You know me. Always happy to have a little help.
And we finish off this iteration with a rescue from Batman yet again, though a reciprocal one at least.
What are you just standing there for? Help me up.
And how do I get up?
After what I just did for you, you don't trust me?
Batman is known to save his villains in this show, of course, but usually from themselves, not from each other. Catwoman, or more often, Selina, is a damsel in distress for most of this show. I find that very frustrating after the other Catwomen I've discussed, who usually had Batman in a vulnerable position at least a few times. So yes, unfortunately, these cat crimes are rather catatonic, and they are rarely even cat-related. Disappointing, but perhaps we can perk up our ears for the next section. Let us dig our claws into the relationships between Selina Kyle, Catwoman, Batman, and Bruce Wayne, because these can be for different situations, intriguingly. I've talked before about Catwoman, her alter ego, and Batman and his, and how the four options have interacted with the previous iterations. This Catwoman honey traps Bruce Wayne.
Now, keep your eyes closed. Continue with this dream.
While their costume personas are not even friendly.
Catwoman, stop, I said!
I don't think you mean that, Batman.
These Catwomen have no alternate personalities, and they naturally flirt with Batman, but have little interest in Bruce.
With Joker in the feline clutches of Catwoman, who knows what all of us may be facing?
You're nice, but my heart belongs to Batman.
Batman Returns explored Bruce and Selina, while Catwoman explored Batman.
You can help me find the woman behind the cat.
And they revealed their true identities to each other in the end.
Selina, please.
So this animated version is unique in that Batman figures out that Selina is Catwoman basically right away.
What an unusual color. Ms. Kyle's, I presume?
No, it's a cat hair.
And there's no mystery about who Catwoman is for the rest of the show. It's likely a matter of public record. Well, of course, very few know that Bruce is Batman. And Selina is not one of those who does, despite being close with both. Let's talk about Bruce first.
Ah, there he is.
Essentially, Bruce and Selina's relationship flourishes before he knows she is Catwoman, and then when she is on probation. So for more than half of her episodes, they meet at a charity auction where she bids on a date with Bruce Wayne and is uninterested in doing more than donating the money.
Please understand, it's purely for the animals, Mr. Wayne.
Bruce objects. Look at that blush.
You bought a date, and I'm honor-bound and delighted to deliver.
And she finds that he is a useful friend to have as she negotiates a land deal.
Is there anything I can do?
Not really, unless you can get me a meeting with the chairman of Multigon International.
What time's good for you?
Hey, I'm starting to like this guy.
When this gets dangerous, he offers to help her, but she resists. And he tells her,
I really care about you. I haven't felt this way in a long, long time.
Costume shenanigans ensue. So next, we have Bruce dreaming that he never became Batman. And that means being engaged to Selina, and she never became Catwoman. Interesting suggestion that those are related events.
Catwoman? Bruce, you're beginning to worry me. What's this all about?
While Selina is having adventures on probation, Bruce is keeping tabs on her and exercising at the same time.
A question still remains. Can this Lady Leopard really change her spots?
He states the crux of the matter to Alfred.
She's in love with Batman.
Oh dear.
But he shows up to pay Selina's bail, which she appreciates, but makes clear how she feels.
Bruce, I like you a lot, but as a friend.
The next episode begins with him waiting at a restaurant for her to meet him. She does not arrive, and Batman investigates.
Where is she?
Sir, this is police business.
So the final interaction between them is at this benefit, where she tells Bruce,
Look, Bruce, it was sweet of you to invite me, but I don't fit in here.
And she goes back to a life of crime at the end. Selina never sees Bruce again, as far as she knows.
I should warn you, breaking and entering is against the law.
You would know.
Bruce was a good friend to her, and she valued his companionship. If he was willing to tell her the truth, like his previous iteration, she might have been on board with staying on his side of the crime-fighting situation. Instead, she leaves him for someone in whom she is more interested.
Still, I wish it were Batman standing behind this door.
So let's get into the relationship between Batman and Selina Kyle. Since he knows who she is for most of this, I'm just gonna treat Catwoman and Selina as the same character. Selina is smitten the first time she sees Batman.
Magnificent.
Surprisingly, for a kid's show, she kisses him all the time.
My hero.
And flirts basically every time they meet.
You can't deny there's something between us.
You're right. And I'm afraid it's the law.
After which Selina's assistant, Maven, says,
You should know how she feels. She's in love with you.
Batman regularly comes to her rescue whenever she is in trouble, and sometimes Catwoman reciprocates the gesture.
Show's over, Joker.
Unlike a few previous Catwomen, Selina never gets into the Batcave, by invitation or otherwise, but she does invite Batman into her lair, and he takes care of her when she's drugged, which is sweet.
Are you getting soft on criminals? Or just on me?
And he often appears in her apartment, sometimes when she wants him there.
What a pleasant surprise.
This episode sets up a unique love triangle for them. Selina is kidnapped and turned into a Catwoman, literally, and set up to be the mate for this Catman hybrid. I don't know. Let's just not think too much about that. Anyway, Tigress here believes that he must defeat Batman to get Selina.
When I prove I'm best, you'll be mine.
And she tells him,
No, I can't be won like that.
So he lets her go, giving her the antidote. A rare example of someone else being interested in and helping Selina.
Goodbye, Selina.
Batman is quite horrified by this version of Selina.
You've made her a monster!
But she doesn't seem too bothered by the transformation.
Heightened senses, increased speed.
I am a bit disappointed in him. He couldn't muster up a little interest in a real Catwoman. I'm just saying I wanted to know how far Bruce would go for Selina, and he's a little more squeamish than I would expect. I guess the freak for freak situation is limited to symbolically being monsters.
So you do care.
More than you will ever know.
Well, I'd like to think our relationship isn't just restricted to saving each other from freaks and weirdos.
The next episode has the villains sharing stories about almost getting Batman, and includes Catwoman rescuing him from the Joker. The other villains are very clear about her relationship with the Caped Crusader.
Yes, if not for that infatuated feline.
Miss Kitty still wanted to play cat and mouse.
Risking everything for your kitty, Batman?
Back off, Bats, or say ciao to your girlfriend. What you gonna do? Kick me around and save your kitten?
And I'd like to see more of those team-ups.
Without masks.
Maybe.
Especially with his charming resolution.
Almost got him.
Catwoman goes back to a life of crime during the next episode and for the next 3, and these all follow a similar structure. She teams up with Batman or one of his protégés.
After all, we do make a good team.
When we're on the same side.
Against the two of us, whoever took the Jade Cat doesn't stand a chance.
Why come to me?
Who else would give me the chance?
And you figured I'd save your skin.
That's what you do, isn't it?
There is a moment of doubt in her.
You're not telling me something.
You're not afraid, are you?
No, of course not.
I don't trust you, Selina.
Of course you don't.
And she comes through to help stop the bigger villain.
Hurry! Oh, no!
Now you know how it feels to look the Grim Reaper in the eye, Daggett.
Catwoman?
While revealing some ulterior motives.
It led me here in time to hear your confession.
You were going to keep that statue all along, weren't you?
Of course. Problem was figuring out when the shipment was coming in.
You played me for a sap.
You've got plenty of stolen goods in there for evidence.
There's enough to convict them, but it's not as much as you'd expect.
Intriguingly, Catwoman convinces Batgirl and Nightwing to trust her by showering compliments on them.
No trick. I just wanted to tell you how impressed I was with you last night.
Including suggesting that they know better than the more senior Caped Crusader of the episode.
He's not my boss.
Of course not. You're your own man now, aren't you?
Before, of course, ducking out at a key moment to get what she wants out of the situation.
Where's Catwoman?
Catwoman?
And naturally, the heroes reveal that they didn't fully trust her all along.
We had a deal, remember? You lost.
You set me up!
Afraid so.
While having the same structure, the episodes with Batman himself are slightly different. First, he decides to help her because she is in trouble, and teaming up does not require a pitch from her to convince him, flattering or otherwise.
You're in over your head this time, Selina.
He basically accepts her side of the story and goes along with her ideas for thwarting the bigger villains.
I know how bad this looks for me, but it wasn't my fault.
Second, their team-up doesn't go through the same kind of test. Batgirl and Nightwing are cautioned not to trust Catwoman and get into situations where they kind of have to.
Was this part of your plan? It is now.
I was brilliant. We were brilliant.
Yeah, I guess we were.
But Batman is completely betrayed and upset in the first of these episodes when Selina is revealed to not be trustworthy.
From the very start, I suspected there was more to this business than you were telling.
Why did you do it, Selina?
While in the second, he's asked to fully trust her despite her earlier betrayal, and he grudgingly does.
And how do I get up?
I'll help you.
I might have been knocked out twice tonight, but I still have my long-term memory.
And then she comes through. These are more genuine interactions than the grudging acceptance of the situation from the other heroes. Third, the ending of the episode reveals their relationships. Batgirl and Nightwing thwart Selina's ulterior motives, but she still manages to make her escape. Essentially, both parties used each other and are willing to go their separate ways at the end.
I knew you had Catwoman on a leash all along.
She led us right to the Emerald, just like you said.
While Batman has to make a choice to save the day or stick with her, possibly to arrest her, and it is difficult for him to let her go at the end, and perhaps not so easy for her to leave him.
I had no idea being on the right side of the law could be so satisfying.
So overall, Bruce seems to be smitten the moment he meets Selina. Batman is intrigued by Catwoman and always on hand to rescue her when she gets into trouble. He understandably holds her at a distance so she doesn't recognize him, but he continues to care for her and be more affected by her than he is by other villains who try to trick him. He does finish the series seeming to have come to terms with Selina's nature, which pains him but doesn't change his feelings.
Catwoman!
Selina is smitten the moment she meets Batman, inconveniently for Bruce, and she remains so for the whole show. She doesn't try the same tricks on Batman that she does on his protégés, and she clearly values his trust.
After what I just did for you, you don't trust me?
Not to mention appreciating all that periodic rescuing he does of her from various troubles, both those caused by her and those she falls into unwittingly.
Don't make it harder on yourself.
He cost me my freedom.
No, you gave it up.
As I mentioned in the last section, Catwoman is barely a villain in this series. Instead, her relationship with Batman, and Bruce's with Selina, is the central focus of each episode in which she appears. Batman loves her immediately, is very betrayed by her a couple times, and maybe lets her go at the end, or maybe not. But we wrap this up with her being happy in her life as a cat burglar, and him being okay with letting her go.
You've got plenty of stolen goods in there for evidence.
But it's not as much as you'd expect.
Oh?
And this status quo is very often where we leave these two. So let's talk about what all of this means. Catwoman spends most of this series wearing a gray costume with black highlights rather than her usual fully black that we saw before and since.
I'm the exception, not the rule.
The reason for this was the animation style would make an all-black suit difficult to stand out, but I think there were layers to that decision. In her appearances in movies and television and even most comics, Catwoman wears black. That is because she is a villain.
It's just the cat in me.
The movies may spend less time on her illegal activities, but she's usually at least an antagonist to Batman at key parts of the story.
But I say let's try it. We have to do something to get Batman out of the way.
As I was saying, I'm a woman and can't be taken for granted.
In the shows, she is a woman with a plan, and Batman must thwart her before she succeeds, regardless of how they might feel about each other.
Well, it was a good plot while it lasted, huh?
Yes, Catwoman, one of your very best.
Let no one say that Catwoman is not the best-dressed woman in the world.
And how could a feline villainess like you also be a fashion model?
Credit is due, Robin. She may be evil, but she is attractive. You'll know more about that in a couple of years.
But here, where she wears mostly gray, Catwoman is not a villain. She has no schemes or plots, no heists that she's trying to do behind Batman's back. She never betrays him to other enemies and does not really take advantage of his vulnerabilities. Instead, she essentially occupies the same role as other caped crusaders.
After all, against the two of us,
Catwoman is not ever at cross purposes with Batman. They make a good team.
What a team.
Come on!
And it's not until the end of the show that she attempts to get anything for herself out of his help. And while it is fun to make her into the same kind of masked vigilante that Batman and his team are, that really removes what makes Catwoman a compelling villain.
What is it you want, Catwoman?
£8 million for the return of their voices.
When Adam West's Batman finds Catwoman attractive and struggles to stay true to his calling because of it, that provides some intriguing character development that we wouldn't get otherwise.
I can't tell you how happy I am about your change of heart.
Michael Keaton's Batman does not have the same moral code of his predecessor, but his feelings for Catwoman and Selina are a significant part of the drama in the movie, culminating in him being willing to give up everything for her.
Selina, please.
And while I would consider Kevin Conroy to simply be Batman rather than playing him, his relationship with Catwoman pales in complexity when compared to other iterations. Bruce, in particular, only appears with Selina when she is no longer engaged in a life of crime. As soon as she picks up the cat ears, he never sees her again.
Look, Bruce, it was sweet of you to invite me, but I don't fit in here.
Compared to, for example, this Bruce Wayne, who takes the opportunity to be her parole officer.
Your parole application has been granted due to the insistence of one of the members of the board.
Don't tell me you're my very own private probation officer.
All right, what's going on here?
There is certainly some pathos to Batman's dealings with Catwoman after she returns to criminality, but he is far less conflicted than Adam West's Batman, despite having a similar code of ethics.
He cost me my freedom.
No, you gave it up.
He's angry with her and disappointed, but never really tempted to consider her point of view.
Why did you do it, Selina?
I have to be who I am.
The episode where she turns her back on going straight is particularly poignant in its ending, as Selina makes clear what being Catwoman means to her.
I am the cat who walks by herself.
It's not just a way to commit cat burglary, it's a symbol of freedom and something she cannot resist doing.
Like I told someone else tonight, it's just the cat in me.
Strange that Batman, a persona Bruce would never give up,
I won't live a lie, no matter how attractive you make it.
Cannot empathize with this feeling, but is instead just upset with her. She leaves Bruce behind because she thinks he doesn't get it, and the story never explores how well he would understand her choices here. The showrunner has spoken about how many sheets of notes the censors would send them per episode, but has not been specific on Catwoman and her relationship with Bruce. However, I think we can safely say that there were some studio notes on what sort of relationship the two were allowed to have. Namely, that Bruce Wayne cannot be attracted to a criminal, and neither can Batman. Their relationship flourishes while she is reformed and ends as soon as she falls off the wagon. I would argue there's more complexity to villainous Catwoman and her relationship with Batman in these episodes than there are to her relationship to the other members of the Bat family, but you can still read this as him refusing to be taken in by this siren, just as Batgirl and Nightwing ultimately trick her rather than the other way around, because of course the heroes are going to triumph. We're sort of operating under the Hays Code and the bad guys can't really be successful. She may get the last laugh in her final episode, but she spends most of the series as a damsel for Batman to rescue, or with a one-sided villainous crush. Catwoman may flirt with him, but he never reciprocates. That seems like a missed opportunity to me for us to explore another side of Bruce and Batman than we usually see. These other Catwomen managed to tease out things we never would have otherwise gotten from these Batmen. I would have liked to see that for this one too.
Selina, now is not the time.
Now here's where you may feel compelled to tell me that this is a show for kids and they would never do such a thing. But isn't Batman 66 really a show for kids? And those complicated emotions were front and center in many episodes.
Why, Batman, are you blushing?
This Batman is more morally gray in general than Adam West's, so why not explore that more with the anti-hero he's in love with? He could have let her go from time to time or helped her in other ways. Children are capable of understanding having a friend who is a bad influence, and wouldn't it be meaningful to have our hero acknowledge those feelings for such a friend and also his intentions to keep to his own moral code, regardless of what she does?
I'll do what I can. But right now we have to. Now can we go?
Instead, he just doesn't really engage with that at all. There is absolutely no danger that he is going to take her side over the law.
I'm afraid our reunion will have to wait.
And what particularly bothers me about all of this is the flip side. Because they wanted to explore the relationship dynamic with Batman, that means Catwoman must be reformed. And if she is reformed for most of the show, that means she is not really Catwoman anymore.
Kitty got her claws clipped.
So while we do have some glimpse into Bruce's romantic side, it is only with a reformed woman, not daring to touch the complexity of our hero having feelings for a villain.
You've got to get out of here.
Me? What about you?
And of course, that determines what kind of Catwoman we have in this show. I talked in a previous episode about the femme fatale and how women in particular really enjoyed film noir due to its depictions of varied and complicated female characters, often villainous ones who were out for themselves. They tended not to end the story happily, of course, but it was refreshing to see a woman be allowed some selfishness instead of the usual storylines where the most important character trait a woman can have is to be selfless.
I have a suggestion.
Afraid we haven't properly housebroken, Miss Kyle.
Catwoman is kept leashed for much of this show, and that makes her less appealing than most of her other iterations. She is treated like a bad girl in general, but never gets to have the fun of one.
Perfect, Riddler. Perfect.
Bat on a hot tin roof.
I am Catwoman. Hear me roar.
Stay away from me! No!
It's never dull, is it, Batman?
Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn have much fewer episodes, but nonetheless were at least as memorable because their storylines are more about what they want, or what Joker wants, admittedly, and how they are acting in opposition to Batman, which makes their contributions to the show more impactful.
Look on the bright side. Tomorrow you'll be feeding hundreds of hungry cats.
I have this natural immunity against poisons, toxins, the pain and suffering of others.
Catwoman is never the primary villain, so she could be removed for most of her episodes without there being much difference. Batman can still investigate the corruption and stop the villains without her. He's done it before. There isn't anything that makes her episodes unique, except for the very last one, which is the only one where she really feels like Catwoman to me.
Cat worship? Theft? Those guys should be praying to me.
And where the relationship with Batman has the usual complexity. But this episode was made by a different network with an older audience in mind. So while I grew up on this show, I was rather disappointed to revisit it to talk about Catwoman. Adrienne Barbeau is amazing, and her voice acting is, frankly, doing the heavy lifting for whatever is memorable about this Catwoman.
But he's inside you somewhere. and I'm going to keep scratching until I find him.
In a series that presented unique and nuanced portrayals of many of its characters, especially Bruce and Batman, that invented one of the most legendary female characters, it seems like a shame how little they could do with Catwoman. She is a pale imitation of Michelle Pfeiffer's version, and I don't just mean the color of her costume, and the character lacks depth because few of her episodes allow her to be more than a damsel in distress. I hope the future versions will make better use of such an icon.
I guess virtue is its own reward.
So is this Catwoman? Meow, then a love interest? I hate to say it, but I think that she is not. So much of her character is neutered to make her an acceptable love interest, and she barely appears in the show once she goes back to her roots of being a cat burglar. The only good episodes were made by another company, with different rules for villains, presumably. But at least Selina ends this iteration by flirting with Batman, earning, and likely keeping, his trust, and then slipping away to laugh over her ill-gotten gains. That is truly what it means to be Catwoman.
You know, Isis, I had no idea being on the right side of the law could be so satisfying.
Thank you for listening to me talk about this iconic character yet again. If you'd like to hear more of my thoughts on costuming, hers or other characters, please join my Patreon for exclusive videos on what costumes tell us about female characters. For more on Catwoman, check out this playlist or subscribe for another entry in this series coming soon. Please like, comment, or tip me on coffee if you enjoyed this video. See you then.